Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account for 6 months, go to Squarespace.com and use the offer code FRAMERATE8.
Alright, it's recording.
I'll load it.
It's recording.
You got
You
hold
were
it.
recording
Wait,
it?
no.
No, I didn't record it. No way. Yo! Oh my goodness.
It's Frame Rate. I'm Tom Merritt. He is Brian Brushwood. Welcome to episode 35 of Frame Rate, where we have a brand new intro thanks to T2T2.
Yeah, all the way from Estonia. He threw that together. Got some updated new digs, and that way we don't have some old footage from you on CNET to
Yeah. Instead, you've got a footage of me in a YouTube window being stupid.
But you notice your views. Your views are going like through the roof. It's like awesome views, just like that. And by the way, I know we're making transitions with the new studio, so it's like that whole thing. Everything was loud all at once, and I just heard. So if I was totally off, you guys were probably talking about selling donuts, and I was busy saying I'm Brian Brushwood. So I don't know if that came out at all.
And use the offer code JELLYDONUT6. Let's start off with, as we always do, a big story. Big story.
This just in, the big story.
Today's big story comes from The Hollywood Reporter, titled Hollywood's First Digital Christmas to Cause Pain.
No.
Yeah, apparently this Christmas, the studios are the movie industry is getting ready for the first major sales of digital movies. So they're trying to pack in a lot of digital copies with Blu-rays, trying to keep people buying optical discs. But the question is, how much pain will the transition inflict on Hollywood? Studios are already enduring wrenching change and windfalls from DVD sales. While they powered explosive Hollywood growth in the early part of like late 90s, 2000s, the digital sales not making up the difference.
So now here's the thing: I understand it's the Hollywood Reporter. I understand that they're catering to a certain audience, but wow, does it ever feel like from this article like I'm supposed to feel some kind of deep pity for them for having to? Oh, woe is them having to come up.
Yeah, that's because this is an industry article, so they're assuming that every person here is feeling deep pain because they're the people that are in the industry reading this. But the message is they're trying to tell consumers this year, you want cloud-based movies. You don't want digital downloads because they're safer. You're not going to have damaged discs. You're not going to have hard disk crashes. And most people will get a digital copy along with a Blu-ray disc at a price to be around $35. So they're really pushing cloud services.
Now, at first, I thought this was a good thing because most of the Disney movies, if I remember correctly, like you buy the Blu-ray, you also get bundled with it an SD card that has like a digital copy of it on there, right? Did I imagine seeing that?
Right. That did happen, yeah.
That's awesome because you get it and you have a piece of media that, boom, instantly it's on there. It's digital. If you want to copy it over your hard drive, I assume you can. That's all awesome. This vague promise that we have a copy of the movie reserved for you in the cloud somewhere, you just got to join our service and be connected at all times and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I think you're just being really negative about the story because it was the Hollywood Reporter and their tone set you on edge. They are still giving you a local copy. They are still, you buy the disc, you get the Blu-ray, you get a local copy, and you get a cloud copy. It's not that they're trying to screw you over finally in any way, except that you don't own that copy. But you still get a local copy that you can put on your device.
Okay, so you do get a digital copy that you could copy onto your iPad, onto your laptop, and that kind of thing.
Well, and that's where the problem is going to be, right? If you get the digital copy for iTunes, you're not going to be able to put it on your Android device. If you get the YouTube movie copy, you're not going to be able to put it on your iPhone. So there's still going to be confusion amongst the populace because we don't have a single format that works everywhere like we do with MP3.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I think we're getting to the point where oh man, that's my alarm that says, that's my BS detector alarm that just went off that says that I wonder if we're getting to the point where it seems like the entertainment industry has finally caught up to essentially like what back in the 1990s Microsoft did with Office, with per seat licensing versus per computer licensing or whatever. Why don't we just get per family licensing, where it's like, look, you got some number of devices and they're under your account, and I'm sure we're moving that way, and I'm sure this is a step in the right direction. But when it says in here how much pain will the transition inflict on Hollywood, I mean, how much pain do you think they're going to be feeling, Dom? I mean,
well, this is financial pain. Again, this is not written for you, Brian Brushwood, the consumer, right?
I know.
You're getting so caught up in the semantics of this.
No,
it's hilarious. That is not the point of the story at all. The sad thing about this story is that you actually want to feel good that they're finally giving up on optical discs. And they're saying, guys, you know what? This holiday season, we're going to make the move to digital. It's like, God, you should have made that move, 10 years ago, but okay, finally, welcome to the party. There's still 100 million issues to fix. The painful thing is about sales. It's the fact that they have to educate a populace. We're inside the Beltway, right? We know about technology. There's a populace out there that doesn't, and they're going to sell fewer units for whatever reason. They like to blame piracy, but I know there's guys actually in the industry who know it's not piracy. It's people are just buying fewer discs and fewer digital downloads because they're spending their money on other stuff.
My question for you was, do you think the current pricing structure can survive under under the new transformation that they want to do, even if you still are paying, we'll say, $20 per movie, but now you're getting, a DVD and a copy and a cloud-based copy? Like, are the days of paying that much and owning a movie done with? Do we just expect everything to be all you can eat, a la carte buffet now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where it's headed. I think what we want, especially with video, where we don't really replay much. You might replay a movie you love 4 or 5 times at the most. Most movies, you watch them once, you're done. Most TV shows, you watch an episode, you're done. So what we want is a service where we can just go find the thing we want to watch it, and be done, and not have something cluttering up our house or our hard drive.
There is a exception, of course, which is if you have kids. And I'm talking all the way from age 2 to age 12. They're going to watch these movies 50 to 70 times a piece, easily. Now, I wonder if I wonder if the exception to that are families that have Netflix, because the kids get bored of movies way faster than I remember getting bored of them as a kid, where they'll maybe watch them 5 to 7 times, and then they're like, no, I've already seen that. I want to see something else. Whereas I remember when I was a kid, it was like if it was moving pictures, I would watch it nonstop all the time. And for certain Disney titles or certain animated features that I know my kids are going to love watching again and again, I don't mind paying out the money in order to have the physical media for them to watch over and over and over again.
You know what? It's an interesting point, because you're right. Kids do that now. When I was a kid, we didn't have a lot of videotapes. Actually, when I was a kid, we didn't have any videotapes. So I got to watch things exactly once.
You had books.
Unless my parents took me back to the drive-in theater to watch it again. I was one of the kids who only saw Star Wars 6 times because my parents wouldn't take me that much more often. But we survived. We were entertained in other ways, and so I think I don't know how much of it is caused by the fact that you're able to play it over and over again. And I certainly don't think you have to have optical discs, even if that is a behavior that is natural to kids, because you can have an iPad, a locked down tablet. It doesn't even have to be an iPad, a locked down tablet that allows kids to play things over and over again without having to have any optical discs.
Right, and I'm already seeing that. And in fact, for all my complaining about, in the past, we've complained that I hate the fact that on iTunes you can't rent TV shows. You have to buy them at $1.99. And as an adult, it makes no sense to me that I'm going to pay $1.99 and rather pay 99 cents for a rental and just watch it once and be done with it. But again, like I'm grabbing all these, as we'll talk about later, Adventure Times and regular shows, and they're just getting watched over and over and over again. And at that, $1.99 seems a tremendous value. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm more interested in how the pricing is going to shake out and whether or not this is just a long-term sea change, that there are enough amateur web content developers, there's enough people who produce comedy and visual content because they love it, that it just makes it to where they can't afford to charge the prices that we've seen for the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, I'm just, my bottom line from this story is I'm glad to see the industry saying, yeah, we ought to move to digital. I mean, it's still a long road. Huh?
Is that okay? You're doing the right things, but you guys, you got to be such jerks about it. You have to be such whiny a-holes.
They're not being whiny. That's you would be writing the same thing about the magic industry if there was like, oh, suddenly the price of top hats and bunnies is going to go up at the end of this year. You're like, yeah, I'm feeling the pain.
Well, and actually, that's actually not too far off because
really,
magic is a world of secrets, and YouTube has absolutely decimated the magic industry. All of a sudden, people were able to sell a single DVD that is carried a very specific secret for $70. It's on BitTorrent everywhere,
yeah.
And then these kids feel like, and so you are seeing a massive shift. I mean, sure, magicians are feeling the pain of having to craft more tricks that rely on gimmicks, because even if they get the instruction DVD, at least they can't go out and make their own. It's going to be easier to spend the $20 to $30 in order to get the gimmick on there. So it's interesting to see the change on there.
And the other side of this is the Hollywood Reporter using feel the pain. That's journalism language. Anytime you have a story that says the economics are going to go down, the journalist writes, such and such industry is really going to be feeling the pain. So, you know, Congress is really going to be, you know, that's just journalism. Let's move on to another big story, shall we?
Stop everything. It's another big story.
We saw this coming.
Yep.
Brian and I.
Not surprised.
We're not surprised. But a judge has ordered an injunction against Zediva. Our long national nightmare has just begun. Zediva, if you don't remember, it was the service that said, look, we're going to only rent and stream a DVD to a single person at a time. So we will have as many copies of the DVD as there are people watching them, and when we run out of copies, we won't stream the DVD to any more people until people are done watching it. So really, it's no different than what the video rental store does, except can imagine a really long cable from the DVD player to the television. Judge didn't buy it. He actually relied, and we talked about this, he relied on the precedent that hotels had fallen under when they tried to do the same thing within a hotel. The judge had ruled still a public broadcast. I don't care if it's going one-to-one, because it's a public place, hotel with lots of people. That's a public broadcast. You can't publicly broadcast without a license. That's what the judge said about Zediva, too.
Now, I understand where they're coming from, and I'm flipped. If you go back and you listen originally, the moment we heard the concept of Zediva, I was convinced that they were going to last about 20 minutes and that this was a nightmare of them flaunting the law. But the more I looked at it, like they stayed within the confines of the law. The letter of the law, as I understand it, they stuck to. And what they've done is to couch. I mean, there's a physical copy of the disc that you are renting. There's a physical DVD player that you're playing it on. There's a streaming connection to these physical devices that you are renting one at a time, and nobody else can see it. By the letter of the law, that makes sense. But then you see the flip side of it, and the question, of course, is whether or not it's a private viewing or a public showing. And the problem that just nails it is the precedent. The fact that there is a precedent and there is legal decisions before about this. I'm weirdly sad to see Zediva go, because in general, I'm always in favor of whatever pushes the envelope, that makes people question and rethink the way we have this lockdown on content right now. And this was a really good test case where they stuck to the letter of the law, but it wasn't good enough. They pierced the veil, and it's a bummer to see Zediva go, because I thought they had a good trick up their sleeve, and it
they thought they had stuck to the letter of the law, but Judge John F. Walter disagreed. And said that they are violating plaintiffs' exclusive right to publicly perform their copyright works. So an injunction has prevented them from operating the service. They are going to appeal, though.
If this, now here's what worries me, is if this becomes precedent, how does that affect things like Slingbox? Because, I mean, how would Slingbox be totally different from the
public? It's you to you. And Slingbox has actually been threatened, but the reason they haven't been taken to court yet, in my understanding, is that the lawyers for the studios realized this doesn't fall under the same precedents, right? The hotel was saying, we've got a collection of DVDs that we're going to stream to a large number of people. Slingbox says, we're not in it. You are going to take your thing and stream it to yourself. Now, I know what you're saying. Common sense-wise, it seems like this is just me with my own DVD player and a really long cable. Why is it different to rent that? So it'd be interesting to see if someone were able to rent Slingbox to someone else, if that would get around the law.
And I guess that's the thing. I guess they say it's to the public, but of course it's, you know, you're still only dealing with one person at a time. That's the part that seems, you know, kludgy to me about, you know.
You're dealing with one person at a time, but you're dealing with multiple people, whereas Slingbox, you are only dealing with yourself.
Yeah. All right. No, that's good. Well, I just don't want to see any more encroachment. I don't want, you know, I love what Slingbox is doing, and I hate anything that looks like it might cause some trouble for those guys.
Let us move on to yet another big story. Thank goodness we have yet another big story. Good posting up by Cory Doctorow on Boing Boing today, pointing to an article about CGI and filmmaking, claiming that CGI has cleared out all the backlog of stuff that was hard to do with traditional effects, but Hollywood is still locked into making safe movies. Now, the idea goes that we thought CG would come along and say, oh, we'll reduce the cost in making these huge disaster films or sci-fi films because everything will be CG. You won't have to hire these actors. You won't have to hire these special effects houses. But the problem is the technology didn't make the movies cheaper. Even if you do the whole thing in front of a green screen like they did with Sky Captain, which was supposed to cost $20 million, it cost $80 million because you still have thousands of people doing the coding, doing the tech behind it, being the Lucas Industrial Light and Magic part of it, and the cost of the movie has not gone down. And because the cost of the movie hasn't gone down, they're still only willing to make safe bets for movies.
Well, here's the biggest thing that's changed, and I understand it's like, well, if the whole point is to, you know, democratize these high-end effects and reduce the cost of the movies, maybe pass the savings on to the consumer, but you got to remember the way these guys are thinking. There is visually very little difference. You can kind of tell between a totally green screen movie and something that uses a lot of practical effects. I know that in general, I'd rather see a bazillion extras. I'd rather see practical effects being used. But there's one very, very big difference between the two approaches, and that's when you factor in risk. When you are committing $80 million to a movie, it's highly risky to have 10,000 people running around on set, eating sandwiches, you know, trying to get all, you know, herding these cats in order to all scream the right thing at the right time. If you could spend the exact same amount and have complete control over every frame, every nuance, every character, every explosion, and you can essentially reduce all randomness down to zero, then of course that's what they're going to do. So from the perspective of the studios, even if they don't change a single thing about their product, they'd rather spend that same amount of money you doing everything digitally rather than actually risk getting real people out there.
Well, yeah, so you end up with Avatar, Harry Potter, Titanic, Lord of the Rings, Batman. These are all examples of huge movies that have used CG to great effect but still cost millions of dollars. And you know, the arguments could be like, well, look at TWiT, right? We're doing big studio type production on a budget, you know, because we're saving money by using prosumer cameras, and we're saving money by streaming on the internet instead of having a big broadcast tower. But the audience for movies is so much more sophisticated. You know, we have Skype issues, we have audio issues here and there. Audience doesn't love it, but they're in it for the content, and that's all, you know, and so they stick with us. Whereas a movie, if your visual effects aren't good, everyone goes crazy about the movie and trashes it. It's not just about the content with movies. Visual effects, we're very sophisticated as viewers, and so we actually look at the visual effects and make that an important part of whether we like the movie or not. If something looks crappy, the reviewers are going to trash it and say, it looked cheap. They didn't spend enough on visual effects.
Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that. Of course, if you're looking at a District 9, something that cost only $20 million but looks like it's a $100 million movie, that's fantastic. But I think the place you're seeing the progress is something that none of us regard as real entertainment yet, and that's in the YouTube stuff. If you look at the work of these digital wizards who are doing amazing practical and special effects using over-the-counter tools, that is where we are seeing massive, massive increases. And I think it's only a short amount of time before these guys transition over to the big leagues and they become respected. I mean, we are going to see the effect that we want to see. It's just not going to be on the big screen with giant $80 million budgets.
I think it's because there are people who are talented enough to make the cheap tools work, that you see these examples, but it's hard. You can't just, pick up a copy of Maya on a torrent and, start making amazing visual effects. You have to be talented at it. And because so few people are demonstrably talented at it, they get picked up. They get hired. When they do
and
it,
I wonder at what point, because one of the things that YouTube made us all realize is that it could be just as fun to tell a story as it could be to enjoy having a story told to you. And as we see more and more amateurs become professionals in here, I don't know. It's a fascinating sea change in the way we enjoy entertainment, because I'll tell you, there are some very complicated stories that, and right now a lot of them are homages to existing franchises. You see stuff, like people making Portal movies or references to, Half-Life 3 or the folks who are doing the Mortal Kombat web series. That's where we're at now, but I think we're going to start seeing more and more really, really good original properties emerging from this new vanguard of talented youngsters who are going to come in and get a copy of Maya off a BitTorrent and go nuts and create amazing stories.
And then get sued because they used that torrented copy.
I mean, that's, and
no, but you know what? I hope you're right. I hope it does become easier to get and put in the hands of people. And I'm waiting for that. We still don't have a real good open source video editor the way we have an open source audio editor. We have some free 3D effects programs out there that aren't bad, but I'm waiting for that to catch up, and I think it will. I think you're right, to where the talented people can go out on their own and make something. And I've forgotten about District 9. That's a really good point, that there is a little bit of that ground.
Well, there's also little things like what we're learning is that a little bit of CG can go a very long way. Stuff like Primer we've talked about on the show. That's a case where I think the whole movie was made for like $5 in a taco.
Star Trek The New Voyages is done entirely privately based on donations. So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of good examples out there. The hard thing for people, if they have the ability to make these videos, is how to present it, how to get it in front of people. And that, my friends, means it's time to take a break and thank our sponsor, Squarespace. Because if you got a good video, you can make an amazing-looking website like that and just put your video up. You don't have to know any coding. If you do know any coding, you can get in there and tweak it, but you don't have to. You can use one of their templates, tweak that a little to fit your colors, put your video in there and a plugin, boom, you're on your way. Squarespace.com.
Can I speak something real quick? Because I know we got a lot of really smart tech heads out there, and they may feel smug and spirit like, oh, I do all my hard coding in Notepad because I'm just that 1337. Look, you got mad skills. You're a badass. You're a wizard. That's fine. But as you move forward with your big project, because look, let's face it, you don't want to be a wizard. If what you want to do is make a movie that's going to be a huge hit, you don't want to spend all your time making the website. At some point, you got to say, let me let professionals make it look badass and let me save a boatload of time. That, to me, is the real benefit of Squarespace.
All right, so let me show you. Can you take my, Chad, can you take my laptop? So I was going to do this earlier today. I went in and I edited this section of HTML and took out an image. This is Squarespace. It's our forecast website on Squarespace. When I took out that image, it had this big white space. I'm like, well, that's ugly. Why don't I move the navigation over to the right? Huh? I know people like navigation on the left, but I'm just thinking, I'm going to try this. This is how you do it. I go to Website Management. I press Architecture. Oh, it logged me out. See, this is what you get for prepping. So there we go.
Well, this is what happens.
So I log in. That's how easy. I logged back in, and it took me right. It was smart enough to know. I know you wanted to go to the architecture site, so log me out. Now, I grab navigation, and I just move it over. There you go. I don't
Just
have
like
to press save. It's done. I go back. I press the back button. There it is. Moved over to the right.
And there's no publish button. Every change you make happens instantaneously.
just happens.
That's another thing that's great about Squarespace. We love Squarespace, and Squarespace loves us. So make sure to use our promo code FrameRate8. That lets them know that it's our little sincere chat with you that lets you guys get into the Squarespace clubhouse.
On to Film Found. We're going to go on. There it is. You know what? I didn't see any movies this week again. This is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
I was up in the Smoky Mountains. I watched a bunch of TV while I was on the road, but not any movies. But do you know what did happen where all the action is when you had your most exciting movie experience is in the NSFW Summer Movie Draft?
I didn't go to see either of my movies. But yes, it is time to check in on the NSFW show Summer Movie Draft.
Yeah, dude, big week. You had a showdown. You had a news-making historical event in that the Smurfs tied Cowboys and Aliens, and that was your big question, was whether or not which one would make you more money, and they made almost the same amount of money with Smurfs actually winning. You don't look happy, though. What's wrong?
It's over, Brian. It's over. It's all over.
What are you talking about?
Freaking
Smurfs.
$40 million opening weekend from Cowboys? Smurfs did okay. I mean, I guess I could say a little told you so, but yeah, I only got one movie left.
Yeah, I'd like to
And
find
I'm in
out.
last place behind Jason by $200 million. It's over. I'm done. I'm out.
No. Okay. Well, first of all, look, I'm way underperforming as well. We're all coming in under expectations, except for Sarah Lane, who's trouncing all of us. But here's what's amazing to me, and this is what's great about the game, is both of your movies made $40 million. You paid $21 for Cowboys and Aliens and only $9 for Smurfs, which it's like, you played Smurfs exactly right. If you look at your millions of dollars per dollar spent, you're doing really well there. But at $21 and only $40 million, like you're looking at only $2 million per buck you spent on that. That's not so good.
No, it's not.
So the standings right now, so as we've said before, Sarah's running away with it. It's really a battle for second place. Justin's locked in. He's out of movies. He's in third place. I'm ahead of him with 547,000. I think I'm out of movies
You're
as
out of
well.
movies too, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that the gap protects me. We've got nipping at my heels. We got Cargill still has.
He has Conan and Final Destination.
He's got Conan and Final Destination, but I've got a lead on him of about 100 million. Jason, I've got a lead on about 130
He only
million.
has Spy Kids. He can't catch you.
Yeah, no, he
Cargill
can't.
could catch you. I have Rise of the Apes this week.
All you have to do, bro, Rise of the Apes just has to make $200 million, and you're golden.
That's it.
Could
Well,
still happen.
Smurfs might have another 40 million week.
That might. It might be a sleeper. Might keep making some bucks. You probably have at least another $60 million you're going to make between those two movies before the summer's out.
Yeah.
So and then whatever. I don't know. It's not looking good. I'm not going to lie.
It's not. I'm out. I'm out of this. I am hoping, against all hope, that I somehow get out of last place. That is the best I can hope for.
Yes. Well, and you might. You actually have a pretty good chance. But is now a good time to say, as we get into the sunset of the Summer Movie League, that we've had so much fun that we're talking about putting together a short, only like 2 months long, Winter Movie League later on this year. So keep an eye
Yeah, it's
out
like
for
the
that.
winter
Make sure to
leagues in
promote that.
baseball. You know, it's a little shorter season. And we would what? We'd just do November and December releases because there's a lot of big blockbusters come out.
Big holiday releases. Maybe start it from the last weekend in October because that's when you get your big soft releases.
That's a
that
good
kind of
idea.
thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and we will do the same thing, right? Where we have the audience gets a chance to play along.
Yeah, absolutely. We might have to have fewer players because otherwise we're just going to be fighting over the same 7, 8 movies or whatever.
Oh, but that would be fun.
It's like the Smurfs goes for $90 million. They're like, I just need a movie. I need one movie.
All right, let's move on to Tube Tops. Is Hulu considering ads an ad-free service that you pay extra for because they already have ads. There was a Hulu support tweet at Dunscap, so it was in response to Dunscap saying, "Hi Jordan, we're currently an ad-supported service, but are looking into the option of a higher-priced ad-free option."
Yeah, this seems like the kind of thing that I almost wonder didn't just get away from itself. Like somebody went ahead and did it because everyone around Hulu knows it, and somebody in a brief slip-up thinks like, oh, well, I thought everyone knew, that kind of thing. I mean, for somebody to make this kind of slip has to say that the idea has to be buzzing around pretty heavy over at Hulu, and it makes sense. It's only the thing everybody's been screaming for since the day Hulu Plus was announced, right?
Yeah, well, everybody thought that's what Hulu Plus was going to be. They're like, why would they have something you pay for and then put ads in it? And Hulu's like, well, you do it with cable TV. You know, your Bravos and your USAs, they've got ads on them. You pay for those, so we're going to pay. And it just doesn't make any sense to anybody.
And, of course, all it made us do is be like, yeah, dude, why are we paying for that on cable? That's a really good point, Hulu.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to cancel right now.
I'm cutting the cord.
Right.
Give me some scissors. I'm cutting the cord.
Yeah, I know.
So, what have you been watching on the TV up there in the Smoky Mountains?
You know what? I made a resolution last week that I was having a hard time. I watched the first episode of Fringe as part of the Fringe Challenge, and you have already completely finished the Breaking Bad Challenge, which I can't wait to talk about.
I am up to speed, yeah.
But we had a couple of Breaking Bads held up, and so I swore that I'm only going to watch them one and one, or at least one and one. I have to get my Fringe out of the way before I watch Breaking Bad. So I watched a couple of Fringe episodes, and for right now, I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to watch every single episode through, and I'm aware that the first season was sort of middling, but I'm going to enjoy it in a small window off to the side while maybe I'm doing my Gmail or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then
I thought you were going to say in a small window while I'm watching Breaking Bad in the big
No.
Okay, good.
Like while I'm doing other things, you know, where it's like I'm following. Oh, I get it. You know, yeah, there's a monster of the week over here. But I'm hoping that by the end of the first season, it totally just grabs me and it goes full screen and it becomes my full-on dive-in face first.
Let me just say, if that last episode does not grab you, and I'm hoping you don't get spoiled on it, but if it doesn't grab you, I can't imagine why it wouldn't. You'll get an out.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to give it the full experience. So I'm going to enjoy, I'll have it on while I'm doing other stuff, but I'm going to plow through it.
The full experience would be having your wife say, you know what? I hate Olivia. I don't like her. I just can't watch this anymore. And then you have to go watch it in the back bedroom because she doesn't want to watch it. And then she goes to the Comic-Con panel and says, oh, those characters seem really fun. And then you catch her back up, and then she loves the show.
Wait, is that what happened with Eileen? Is that really what occurred?
Yeah, that is pretty much exactly what happened.
That is awesome. Yes, well, I tell you what, I'm very excited to get its hooks into me, but for right now, I'm enjoying it. I see why everyone's like, oh, no, it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
How many episodes are you in?
I'm like 3 episodes in.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Still
right.
Monster of the Week stuff.
You're still
right?
in the fake arc, an arc that you think is going to be like defining for the rest of the entire show that ends up being kind of minor.
But what it does do is it's a good kind of like a vocal warm-up thing. It lets me know what their range is going to be, what topics they will and won't cover, what they will and won't do to their characters. You know, so it's like all this I think is good. Stop! You're spoiling. You got spoily face on. I'm trying to be good here.
Should we talk about what I've been watching?
Yes.
I've been watching Breaking Bad. Speaking of spoiling,
so you finally, when the 4th season started, you still were like halfway through season 3, and then you just band-aided right off, and you tweeted out to me, you're like, "Dear Schwood, I understand. Love, Tom."
It was, yes, it was the last episode of season 3 that made me want to write that. I went ahead and I watched the next 2 episodes, which were the first 2 of this season,
right?
Before I posted it, because I wanted to be like totally caught up, but without spoiling it for anyone, and you've seen the season ender of last season, right?
I'm all the way caught up.
The moment with the car followed immediately by the moment afterwards. So the moment in the car didn't see coming, but kind of was like, well, I should have expected that. And then the moment that came right after that, did not expect that even then.
I'll tell you, man, it's like that show's got serious muscle. I mean, it's like it really, it has meandered surprisingly little from its original the things that made the first season good are continue to be what make it good, just in an evolving set of circumstances. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a few themes, and I don't want to get too spoilery for people who haven't watched it, but I feel like there's a few themes that kind of build where you have Walt, the main character, sort of get out of his depth, realize it, scramble to find his feet, and then end up on top. And then he kind of repeats that process again. And he's sort of in the middle of that right now. And then you have, the storylines around Jesse are sort of, Jesse is a screw-up, but then ends up showing that he's got a heart of gold.
We gotta have some kind of spoiler alert up for you to be even these thematics.
This is like man versus nature kind of stuff. Like, this isn't that spoilery. Jesse's a screw-up, but he's got a heart of gold, and he rises above his situation. I don't think that's spoilery, is it? And of course, people in the chat room are like, yeah, totally spoiler.
We are pimping the show because we love it, right? And we don't want, for me personally, and this is more spoilery talk here, like, I don't even want to mention in general what this character like or what in general this other character is like, just because people are like, they come in with preconceived notions where like, oh, well, this guy must live a really long time, especially in a show like Breaking Bad where, people die and you want to know who lives and dies. And
whoa, spoiler alert, people die?
yeah, see? We got spoiler alert blue.
We actually had spoiler alert plaid for a second there. All right, so yeah, Breaking Bad. Also, still loving Haven. Some guy on Twitter was like, Haven's like X-Files with lower production values, and I totally disagree. I don't think Haven's like X-Files at all, especially this season where they're starting to go into a more of a weird story arc, and I hope people watch it and keep it on long enough that they get a chance to do what Fringe did and work out of those Monster of the Week episodes that you kind of have to do in your first seasons and go beyond that. And Eureka is being taken over by the web. You still got your main characters from when Eureka started, but Felicia Day and now Will Wheaton guested on the most recent episode I watched, which I'm still a week behind. It was like, am I watching The Guild or am I watching Eureka? I kind of went back and forth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I still, along with the kids, and it's so great to have like good television that you want to watch with your kids. Still loving Adventure Time. Still loving regular show. I originally, last week, I would have told you Adventure Time is better than regular show. I think regular show is better than Adventure Time now. Like, I'm getting to the point now where I'm noticing that the console they've been playing for 2 seasons straight is an old Sega Master System.
Nice.
They never make a big deal about it, but it's like there's so much retro gaming love in that show. And it's like my daughters started saying like, yeah, that kind of, all these little memes from the show.
Very cool. All right, let's move on to Interferon. I'm going to pull a brushwood here real quickly before we start Interferon. Chucky J reminded me in the chat room that Stan Lee was in the Eureka that I just watched with Will Wheaton.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
He had a like longish cameo. It was pretty great. All right, so we've got some good Interferon web video that I don't think I've seen any of this stuff.
Yeah,
yet.
well, I'll go ahead and set them up for you. The big thing, of course, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about the Netflix price hikes and how the world was freaking out about it. And you and I came down on the side of like, look, the fact is not only is this still a great value, but they could raise it even more and it'd still be a good value. But out of everything that was put up in terms of logical, thoughtful responses to this pressing issue from Netflix, I thought that Jason Alexander's video that he posted on Funny or Die may have been the least subtle and the most awesome. It's almost kind of discomforting to watch, but this is Jason Alexander talking about the Netflix price hikes. There you go.
Wars, earthquakes, but one tragedy eclipses them all. Netflix has raised their prices. This is literally the worst thing that has ever happened to white people. These are the faces of devastation. For a mere $6 a month, you can help them keep their current Netflix plans. This is Samantha. She's just like you, but her life has been destroyed by Netflix.
Did they change the pricing because of something I did? Is it because I said I never received Disc 2 of Season 3 of The Wire, when really I scratched it using it as a coaster?
The world is so unjust. Samantha is so upset, she can barely get out of bed to attend her advanced Pilates workshop. With this unconscionable Netflix has
Godwin's
joined the
Law.
ranks of history's greatest monsters. Netflix must be stopped. And you can help.
What the hell am I supposed to do now, huh? Go to a video store? Like a poor person?
No.
It's just hard, you know? I was going to watch every movie.
You can, I'll tell you what.
It kind of goes that way, huh?
Yeah, it's more of this, but it's up at Funny or Die. Just go ahead and look for it. And the best part is the little button at the end. Like after this whole 5-minute video, the girl who was just talking, she's like, screw it, I'll just BitTorrent it. And then off she goes at the end.
Netflix.com/twit will give you 30 days free.
Dude, yeah.
You know.
And you can take advantage of their fine service.
And that will help relieve some of these first world problems.
This is one that first popped up on my radar from a Gizmodo article that somebody forwarded over to me. But you got your and I cannot believe how long. You know how the internet, we get bored of stuff super fast. But just when I think that, finally, no more Rebecca Black, finally, no more Nyan Cats. I'm done with both of them.
Yeah.
But then it's like they team up, and I'm like, okay, that is pretty awesome. And this is a video of a girl. Let me get her name. I totally spaced on it.
Nancy?
Look at Laura plays Rebecca Black
Laura.
and Nyan Cat at the same time on piano. This is a girl playing a duet with herself. Each one is only playing the Nyan Cat song or only playing Friday, but the two of them mash up shockingly well. Take a listen to this.
Wow, do those work together? That's insane.
And
At first, I could only hear Friday. I was having a hard time hearing the Nyan Cat, but then it comes right out, and it kind of overlays. That's weird. I like her choice of outfit, too, to indicate which one of her is
for the
playing.
two, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it should be pointed out in the chat room, they're pointing out that also there's the new song, My Moment, in there as well.
Wow. Nicely done.
If you care. Yeah.
You have a new favorite 404 page, I read, in our
you know
document.
what? And again, this just popped up on the radar. This is on, I'm on a listserv of gamers, and somebody had forwarded this over to me. If you go to nosh.me/404, you see their default, hey, whatever it is you're looking for, it's not here. Nosh.me is they're a web app that, an iPhone app about food or something or other. But their 404 page is awesome because they explain like, hey, the page you're looking for, it's not here, but don't worry, we have a crack team of commandos who hunt down the missing
So they
pages.
embedded a video in their 404 page.
Yes, exactly. And you're like,
You know what?
like,
I want to do that.
yeah,
On my
totally should.
Brilliant 404, I want to have like a helpful we understand that you were looking for a page that couldn't be found, and we're here to help.
Right, exactly. Well, check it out. Take a look at the video, and it's something that it's so much more you would ever expect from a 404 page.
Also, very
This is 212 Romeo. Be advised. We're getting a code 404 on a page in your sector. Intel suggests this page is hostile, potentially equipped with small arms. Can you confirm the status of your sector? Over.
Copy that 212 Romeo, code 404, code 404. We have reports of a rogue site in this sector, but so far, no contact.
Solid copy, man. You are clear to engage. Over.
Solid copy. Out. You got eyes on anything?
Whoa. That page has been found.
I'm out, cover me!
And if you look, it's actually a guy with the web page running around.
They shot that guy?
They found the page. Take a look at that. /404. And that's it. That's all I found for
there's
Interfere
the
on this
page.
week.
Excellent. Well, I guess that means I've picked up my laptop, so it's time for feedback. Now, it's time.
Now it's time for feedback with Brian and Tom on Frame Rate. Oh, yeah.
Patrick writes in to feedback, framerateshow@gmail.com, and says, "Hey, guys, just had the chance to catch up to last week's show and wanted to throw in my 2 cents. I didn't get either one of the pennies in my email, did you?
You know what? Actually, I believe he sent them, but in the time since he sent them, the inflation was so great that they're only worth less than half a penny now. So he rounded down.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I better hurry up and read it. The price is going down as we speak. I am currently subscribed to the highest tier cable, and I can get along with premium channels. I actually watch it for maybe 5 hours a week. Instead, I have a Sickbeard SABNZBD setup. Sickbeard keeps track of all my shows and downloads them automatically after they air and are uploaded to Usenet, typically 15 minutes for a half-hour show, 45 for an hour-long show after they finish live. I guess that makes me a pirate. Yeah, yes.
Yes, in fact, I believe that is the textbook definition of piracy.
But I'll continue to do so until content providers finally figure out that I want to watch my favorite shows when I want to watch them, where I want to watch them, and how I want to watch them.
You know, we've said it before. It's like we are not fans of piracy, but it's important to acknowledge that it definitely exists. And I think
he says I am currently subscribed to the highest tier cable I can get. So why don't you just DVR the stuff?
Dude, look, as a recovering former pirate, I understand, because it's all the way in the other room, Tom. And you'd have to remember to go through the tedious menus. People, I've said it over and over again. Convenience trumps fidelity, and that's why this guy's going.
Well, he went to the trouble to set up the Sickbeard thing.
Well, but that's a one-time.
That's fun. That's actually hacking. Yeah. All right.
Plus, also, people are saying there's no ads with BitTorrent. And to be honest, I don't even think the ads are that big a deal. I think if he could get all the convenience that he currently has with this setup, but keep the ads, I bet he would probably keep it.
I kind of wish that the local ads would stay in torrents sometimes because they have such hilarious local ads.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be kind of fun.
Absolutely. This one comes from Steve Chester, who says, Brian and Tom, having watched Frame Rate from the first show, it's great, by the way, I have once again listened to your fantastic advice and have started watching the truly awesome Breaking Bad. Did the first season nonstop, just started season 2. I can see it's going to be a late night for me. Oh, loving At the Controls too. I want to point out that I put that in there before I knew you and I would spend so much time gushing about Breaking Bad.
I'm glad he liked it, though, and that he likes us. Thanks, Chester. Jason in Newcastle, Australia, writes, interesting conversation on the last show about Shaw in Canada favoring their own service for movies, etc., excluding it from the data cap, which, by the way, they ended up clarifying they weren't doing. We think they changed their policy. That is standard practice here in Australia. There are a number of ISPs that have their own IP movie TV service, which they provide, and if you use them as an ISP, then anything you download does not count towards your cap. Have a look at Telstra's T-Box. What are you doing, Australia? But plus, they're getting a national fiber network, right? So
we're like Australia, you stop that. You stop that.
You stop encouraging them. They're getting a national fiber network, which Telstra's not going to be operating anymore. So I wonder if that stuff goes away then.
Now, this one I thought was a really interesting question about the nature of rental DVDs versus ownership DVDs and the specials that come with each of them. This is from Dan, who says, I'm one of those that uses broadcast TV and doesn't have cable TV service because there's 2 to 3 shows I want to watch, and that's not $60 a month in value for me. One thing that has been annoying me is Universal Sci-Fi's lockdown of their content. A couple of years ago, I got into Warehouse 13 when it started. The first year was great. Hulu had the content right away. Last year, they kind of annoyed me by showing the first 2 episodes of the season, then delaying everything after that by a week. That maybe I can understand because I expect cable shows are repeated a couple of times in that first week. But with season 3, they released the first 2 episodes after initial airing and then announced that none of the rest would be online until September. Really? Most likely I'll just wait to watch the shows, I guess. I'm a big believer that the TV shows should be able to live up to live ad supported. I'm fine watching them on Hulu, a couple minutes of ads interspersed throughout. I was curious. I took a look at iTunes, but I'd only really buy the seasons if they were half the price that they currently are. It's just not worth it for me otherwise. If Hulu needs more money to survive, they should be paying more than 60 seconds of ads, playing more than 60 seconds of ads per commercial break. Some shows do, and that's fine by me. I'm sticking to my guns, and it's not available legally online at a decent price. I'll just not watch it. So
well, Dan, props for sticking by your principles. The reason that they don't have more than 60 seconds of ads, though, is because they can't sell more than 60 seconds. So when you see them have more 60 seconds, it's because they finally could sell more. We've talked about this at length, but the ad model for online video is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have a trivia question. We talked about this a little in the pre-show. Robert Shaver wrote in and asks, what TV show did William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy appear together in 2 years before Star Trek?
I'll tell you, when I read this one, what popped into my mind, actually, I'll tell you, you go first, because I've already peeked at the answer now.
I've peeked at the answer myself, but the first thing that popped into my mind was Twilight Zone. But they weren't.
That was my
They
exact
weren't
same
on
guess.
an episode together on Twilight Zone.
Well, exactly, because I knew they both had been on Twilight Zone, but not on the same one. And in fact, I'm looking at the chat room right now. Of course, it goes over to you guys in the chat realm. I have not seen the correct answer yet.
Well, Torrent Fiend says the correct answer is no one cares. That may be a correct answer for some of you. I actually did care.
But this one was a very obscure thing.
I haven't seen the correct answer yet.
We do have a
there we
clip
go.
from it.
Web 8516.
Wow, really?
Yep. He got
the
it.
Man from Uncle, yeah. Web 8516 found it. The Man from Uncle, and there's a Meta Cafe. If you just look it up, you'll see in there the Man from Uncle in there. But it's wild to see how young and different they are before they ended up being in that thing. I don't know if we want to take a look at it. Tell you what, when we go to break right now, we'll take a look at the footage from that. But don't forget, you can send in your questions for us, and more importantly, you guys have stories that you run across that you think is a natural fit for us over at Framerate. So hit us up, send them over to framerateshow@gmail.com. We do read all of those, and we try our best to write back to each of you, if not talk about it right here on the show. But I guess that's it for me, Brian Brushwood. What about you, Tom Merritt?
That's it for me, too, Brian Brushwood. Don't forget our sponsor, Squarespace.com. Use the offer code FrameRate8. We appreciate their support, and we appreciate you watching Framerate. We'll see you next time. Oh, look, they were friends then, too.
Yeah, and Kirk was a drunk back then.
He looks so Shatner in those poses, even though I can't really say.
Look at Nimoy, man. Look how dashing and young he is.
Oh, yeah.